Alrighty, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Very Cold Lasagna, the podcast that houses a safe and open listening platform for casual, cold, and even the dumbest takes on the world of WWE, AEW, the NFL, and the wide world of pro wrestling and sports in general. I'm your host, DylanLasagna. Welcome to today's interesting episode about the San Francisco 49ers. Episode number 61, and my God, this weekly recap of the 49ers' latest game is going to be a tough one to get through. And I know it happened almost a week ago, probably by the time you're listening to this, a week ago already, but it is still a tough pill to swallow. So we're going to be talking about the Arizona Cardinals whooping all over the 49ers' candy asses in week 9. Not to mention the fact the G League, the practice squad Cardinals, whooping over the 49ers, who had all their starters, who had everybody in week 9. Then we're going to talk about the game, all the winners and losers, and trust me, there's a lot of losers in this one, and all the takeaways from this game, and we're going to be talking about the potential Monday Night Massacre, the sequel. That is the LA Rams traveling to take on the 49ers in week 10. So, as you all know, you already know what to do. We're just going to jump right into it. I usually do my spiel and all that, but we're just going to jump right into it. So if you like what you hear or see on this show, make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell. If you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio side of things, make sure you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts, and follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. So let's get right into this very, very dreadful, this very, very embarrassing, even more embarrassing than week 7, that super soaked, wet, offensive, and not in a good way performance by the 49ers. This week was dreadful. This was stupid. This was very, very, embarrassing. I'm probably going to say that word a lot on this show because that's the only word I can describe it. This week 9 game against a G League Arizona Cardinals that didn't have Kyler Murray going to this game, that didn't have DeAndre Hopkins in this game, they didn't have AJ Green in this game. All they had was Colt McCoy, James Conner, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore. That was pretty much the G League Cardinals. And also to mention the fact that J.J. Watt was already out for the season, and yet the 49ers got their ass whooped. So, heading into this game, we already mentioned the fact that the Cardinals were already, shorthanded, and they just lost their first game of their season, heading into it against the Green Bay Packers, thanks to AJ Green selling the game on a last-minute interception. Meanwhile, for the 49ers, they were riding high. They finally snapped a 4-game losing streak against the Chicago Bears, because the Bears were playing their typical Bears football. Yeah, at the very end of the game, and which was a surprisingly kind of competitive affair. So they moved up to 3-4, and you kind of saw the best games of the season from Elijah Mitchell and even Jimmy Garoppolo, who I shitted on all season long and pretty much last season too. And Kyle Shanahan had a decent game. He coached a pretty alright game against the Bears that it was eventually going to crack because Matt Nagy, well, he even coached that game, but still, the Bears are just even more mediocre team than we are. So, with the news that, the key starters for the Cardinals wasn't going to play in this game, this, like I said in the preview last week, this could have gone either way. This could have either been a winnable game, we could have won 2 straight, we could have split the season series against Arizona, or this could have been a super massive trap game. And guess which one I was right about? Yeah, I was so right about this being a massive trap. And it damn sure did turn out to be one. Oh, hell yes, it did. Guaranteed. It was a trap. It was a trap for the 49ers. And Kyle Shanahan was saying in the post conference the post-game press conference that we had a good week of practice, and yet here you were getting your ass whooped by the G League Cardinals. So let's talk about this game, if you want to call it a game. And, you had some promising things. And going into this game, too, for the 49ers, you had some key guys coming back. You had George Kittle coming off IR. I think you also had K'Wan Williams coming back into this game. I think Trent Williams was already back, but he was slowly starting to make his way back into the lineup. I think Jeff Wilson Jr. Was back. So, and Robbie Gould too. He was back in the lineup. So you got some guys. Everyone was slowly and surely starting to make their way back into the lineup. And yeah, you hear that little spring. That means it could have been some good things going on there. And there were some decent things happening in that first drive, but for whatever reason, the offensive line didn't protect Jimmy G, and the drive stalled. They forced a punt, and then the Cardinals eventually punted as well on their first drive. And the 49ers, they seemed like they're going to get the ball moving. They seemed to be doing good things on offense. George Kittle, unfortunately, got the ball punched out of his hands. He had a good hurdle. He was moving the ball well, but then the ball got punched out. And initially I thought, I was had a wild reaction. It was like, George Kittle, what are you doing? You gotta protect that football. But it just turns out that the Cardinals made a really good defensive play by really punching out. George Kittle had that ball clutched very well. It's just that the Cardinals made a good punch out of the ball. So I can't really knock Kittle on that well. I mean, it's his first career fumble in the NFL, so it is what it is. The Cardinals would turn that turnover into a James Conner touchdown. Yeah, this would literally be the theme throughout the day. The 49ers' inability to stop James Conner. Yeah, this was literally the James Conner show going forward. After the 49ers had the punt, the Cardinals got the ball back quickly, and they could have, the Niners could have forced a 3-and-out, but the refs, they also played a role in this game. We can't solely blame the refs, but they had a little bit of a part here too, because the refs called a stupid ass face mask penalty on Eric Armstead when it clearly wasn't face mask. He had a little little in the neck area, and yet it was called a face mask on Eric Armstead when he tried to sack Colt McCoy. Really? We're really doing this? So anyway, the penalty allowed the Cardinals, to pull off a trick play because our secondary sucks ass. And Christian Kirk, one of the backup wide receivers for the Cardinals, threw it to a dude named, I think it was Wesley, his last name was Wesley. And he threw it deep, they did this Philly special down deep to this Wesley guy. And it got well deep into the red zone at the 1-yard line. That set up yet another James Conner touchdown. Yep. So it's very much more James Connery. And it's already 14-0 in the first quarter. So the 49ers really had to pick up the slack on offense. They really had to, match the intensity that the Cardinals were, for whatever reason, were providing. So here to start off the second quarter, the Niners were finally picking it up on offense. And this was good stuff that they were doing. They were moving downfield with George Kittle, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk. Jimmy G, he's still kind of having that 50-50 thing, throwing the passes too high, and the receivers, have to make adjustments because Jimmy G just loves to throw the ball so damn high that, he wants to bust their kneecaps. Learn how to throw it in, not too high, not too low, but get that even balance, man. Come on. This is one of the reasons why we lost Kittle for a couple games last year, and then eventually at some point you're gonna get another one of your receivers hurt, man. And then unfortunately another fumble happened by Ayuk because he fumbled the ball as well, and he gave it back to the Cardinals. Now this fumble never would have happened because Jimmy G, I said earlier, he threw the ball too high, and Brandon Ayuk had to make the adjustment to catch it high in the air, because Jimmy G likes to bust them kneecaps. And he was in a precarious situation, and he fumbled the ball. I mean, at least going ahead into the game, like, fortunately, he was fortunate that Kyle Shanahan, didn't put him like in the doghouse, and that everyone was supposedly trying to claim. So that was good news. So he stayed in the game going forward. And then later on, the defense finally got a stop in the red zone. But here's where things get really stupid. This is where things get really, really dumb. Josh Norman, yeah, you remember from Carolina and Washington and even Buffalo. Yeah, the veteran corner, Josh Norman. There was this whole scene, this whole penalty for both him and Cliff Kingsbury. They were trash talking one another. And the referees were like, knock it off. And then things got so emotional, so heated. I don't know, what was the reason for this to happen in the first place? I think it's because Josh Norman was celebrating, he was celebrating that they got a stop on third down. And for what? Your team was down 14-0 midway through the second quarter, and you were in the red zone. You were about to go up 17. You were going to be down 17-0. Pardon me, and yet you cost your team more time. You cost your team more time, and not only that, a chance for them to to give your team back the ball with even more time, and instead you give the Cardinals another set of downs. Dumb dick move by El Bandero. That's what they call him in the Mune Football League, I guess. So, really dumb dick move by Josh Norman. He gets benched, and rightfully so. He should get released at this point because, he's washed his shit. So, another thing that happened was everyone on defense, that while this was going on, Josh Norman was trying to get at it with Cliff Kingsbury even more, and the defense was trying to calm him down, and Josh Norman was getting into it with his teammates, and they were arguing with each other. I'm like, there is no, this is just showing that there's no leadership on this team. There is absolutely none. They're bickering with one another. It's like, what happened to the discipline? What happened to the unity in this group? Did that go out the window when Robert Saleh left to go join the New York Jets? Really? So that's all it takes for the defense to suck ass? Goddamn. That is sad. That is really sad. So, it eventually becomes 17-0, but there's a little bit of positive momentum going to the half. The Niners get down the field. George Kittle hauls in a touchdown from Jimmy G. It becomes 17-7, and I thought to myself, okay, defense is playing like absolute shit. They're imploding too. Emotions are running high. But the offense, they're not doing too bad. Jimmy G, yeah, he's kind of doing so things, but he's not doing incredibly stupid things. He's not turning the ball over. His offensive line is kind of playing like shit. Actually, they were playing like shit, but he's getting the ball out quick. He's not he's not the total problem in this game, but he's not exactly helping out too. But I still thought, at this point, you're playing the G League Cardinals. You got off to a bad start. Maybe they can get back into this game. But, Kyle Shanahan and that coaching staff needed to light a fire in their asses, especially on the defense, to put out a much better performance in the second half. So, I went into halftime, wait for the third quarter to start, and, I tried to keep my expectations, a little bit reasonable. Yeah, about that. Oh, man. So right out of the gate, on the Cardinals' very first possession of the half, they got the ball to start with. James Conner gets a screen pass from Colt McCoy and literally just runs away from the entire 49ers defense. And that includes all-pro linebacker Fred Warner. Yeah, literally he ran away from Fred Warner for his third touchdown pass or reception, whatever, run. James Conner got his overall third touchdown pass against this shitty 49ers defense. And I gotta say, Fred Warner is not having a very good year. You know, he got that big extension, and yet he disappears. Like, this dude hasn't been, like, showing up. Like, where is he? Where is the all-pro Fred that we've been seeing for the last 2 years? Seriously. So, the 49ers back on offense. You know, they've been pretty much like nowhere to be found. They reverted back to their first half ending selves. Jimmy G was pretty much airmailing passes, but it was not only just him, it was also the offensive line failing to protect him. Like, as much as I rag on Jimmy G, you know, the offensive line hasn't been doing their part too, in protecting him in this game. So eventually the Cardinals get the ball right back, and guess what they do? March right back down the red zone, and some random running back that's not James Conner, this dude named Eno Benjamin, he literally just, you know, squashed. He literally squashed Drake Kirkpatrick like a jobber in pro wrestling on his way to a now 31-7 lead in favor of the Cardinals. Yeah, it was that kind of day. It was literally that kind of day for the 49ers. But then you got to see a little bit of good things. There was a little bit of a silver lining. George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk got some nice routes going. They were moving the ball well. And Brandon Ayuk, you know, finally caught a touchdown. He got a nice ball from Jimmy G. And, you know, the deficit was cut a little bit, I guess, 31-14. I mean, didn't make a big difference, but still, there was a little bit of silver lining. George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, especially Ayuk, you know, he's been, like, everyone's been saying, like, oh, why in the doghouse, or Kyle Shanahan's putting him in like, jail, or, like, you know, the bench. But then here he comes, like, with his biggest opportunity yet, and, you know, he executes. He's doing really well. And I don't know why Shanahan has been leaving him on the bench for so long. So I think this was really good progress by Ayuk. So then we get to the fourth quarter, and the Niners eventually get the ball back. And this is where things got kind of muddy for them. And this is where the lack of discipline, the lack of organization, lack of communication really settled in for the red and gold. Because, like, you know, they failed to convert on third down in their next possession. And they were trying to decide what to do. You know, time was running down on the play clock at least, and they were trying to decide if they wanted to kick a field goal with Robbie Gould, because they were kind of in range. They could have kicked it. Robbie Gould has a strong leg, but they decided to punt it. So, you know, why did it take that long? They were kind of disorganized on what to do. So it's just like, even then, why didn't you at least try to have Robbie Gould try to kick it? Or why didn't they go for it on fourth down? It was a reasonable fourth down. I mean, you're down 31-14. You have nothing to lose at this point. I mean, you're going to lose this game. It's like, you go all or nothing at this point. But no, they punt it. I mean, the Niners defense finally forced another punt. And once they reached the goal line, the offense stalled, which was unfortunate, and they had to settle for 3. And they got another punt in, and they got one more chance. And literally on the second pass of the possession, on their last possession, Jimmy Garbage Pail, classic Jimmy Garbage Pail, shows up, and he completed downfield to Buda Baker of the Cardinals. And that's how the game ends. After a couple of plays by the Cardinals, they nailed it down. The game over. So, overall, oh my God. I guess we really are wanting to play some West Coast good old-fashioned Bears football, Maggle. This was just really, really... This was even worse. And really much more stupid than the Colts loss from 2 weeks ago. I mean, at least a couple weeks ago, the defense was still doing all right. I mean, sure, they were committing a lot of stupid pass interference, but the offense wasn't really doing anything at all. And then here we are 2 weeks later. The offense is not doing that bad. They're not helping out and trying to catch up with the Cardinals. I mean, Jimmy G wasn't like part of the problem. I mean, it's like, but he didn't help out in trying to help the Niners like catch up or take the lead or anything. But man, that defense, it's like it just did not show up. Like, what happened? Where was it all game? So the Niners really had a chance, to win against a Cardinals team that was pretty much a G League team. No Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins, no AJ Green, no JJ Watt, and they later lost Chase Edmonds. But I mean, I guess that was a benefit for them because they got James Conner, and then they end up getting a undisciplined and totally unprepared 60 minutes of complete shit. All thanks to Kyle Shanahan. So overall, for those that are saying don't give up on the season because look at the rest of their schedule. They're playing the Jaguars, the Vikings, the Bengals, the Falcons, the Texans. We can make a playoff run. Bullshit. You really think the Niners with this team, with this defense, the way that they performed on Sunday against the Cardinals, you really think that they can make a playoff run? And you really think that they get, even against the worst of worst teams? I mean, well, face it, the Texans suck, okay? Everyone except the Texans, they suck. But you really think that, the Jaguars, yes, they suck, but, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's okay. He just has a shitty supporting cast. The Vikings, they actually do well on the road. I mean, we all know what the Seahawks can do. The Bengals, well, they're in a very competitive division in the AFC North that, it's up for grabs. And the Falcons, hey, they're not dead. They're not dead yet. Everyone thought they were dead back a couple weeks ago, and, well, here they are. I think they're above 500 or even at 500. And the Titans, oh, man, yeah, oof. And then you get the Rams twice. Nice. This is wonderful. You're like, for the fans for the 49er fans that really think that they can go undefeated the rest of the way, for the fans that really think that they can really knock on the back door of the playoffs, only to get trounced by whoever the 2 seed is, you're just like the 49ers this year. You really are just like the team on the field that goes out there and plays this shit. Mediocre and blind as shit from the truth. From me and all the other honest 49er fans telling you this. You're blind. You really are blind. I mean, you can have the optimism, sure. I'm not going to stop you from having that, sure. But I'm just telling you right now, don't be sad. Don't be like, I don't know, kind of like in denial that, oh, no, we can still make the playoffs. Like, and don't be angry that they don't eventually make the playoffs, because in reality, when that eventually officially happens, I'll be here saying, well, here we are. The 49ers officially missed the playoffs, and, well, we'll see what happens with Kyle Shanahan. So, with all that said, let's finally talk about some winners and losers real quick. I mean, not many winners here, but I mean, there's a couple. There were some silver linings here. Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. In Ayuk's first actual game time. I mean, sure, he's been in game, but he hasn't been really involved. This is his first actual game involvement. I mean, yeah, the Niners were playing from behind. They really need Ayuk to show up. And this game and the Bears game, he really showed out. Jimmy G was finding him. Ayuk was running his routes well and getting open, and he was going past the defenders really good. He was showing his elusiveness and speed. And he was catching the ball really well. I mean, that one fumble, yeah, I think that showed that he was, kind of having a slow start, but then he overcame that. He really had a really good game in what was like pretty much a lost game already. And then George Kittle, came off IR. Like, I think Matt Miyoko or Kyle Shanahan was saying that, he was going to be on a limited a snap count, but I didn't see no limited snap count. And even then, he looked pretty good coming off IR. And obviously, Elijah Mitchell, he still looks like he's going to be the lead back beyond this season. And, he's looking pretty good. He's able to get past some of the tougher run defenses. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Niners just let Raheem Mostert go. And, they got to let Trey Sermon get a chance here with Mitchell. Because if they let Sermon play and he proves that he can be the guy behind Elijah Mitchell, this can be a good, dangerous backfield here. And then the losers. Well, obviously, it's just about almost everybody else on this team. I mean, aside from the offense being total shit, the entire defense was just completely shit in this game, especially Josh Norman. I mean, look at this defense let James Conner literally run over their asses. They literally did. So bad that I could have awarded the Cardinals as winners in this game because, well, they didn't have their key starters, and, they stepped up to the challenge and game planned around that. I guess they knew going to this game that they were going to have their starters, and they were trying to make the illusion to the 49ers that, we may or may not have Kyler Murray. And then I just assumed that they were going to have Kyler Murray. And then here they are. So the entire defense was just not expecting James Conner to run over them. This was just like them. This was just like the Cardinals using the NFC Championship game the 49ers had 2 years ago and using it against them. Literally. This was literally this game. How did the 49ers how were they not ready for that? Really? And then the offensive line. They allowed 5 sacks on Jimmy G. They let Jimmy G get sacked 5 times when last week they didn't let him get sacked at all. So I don't know what exactly happened here. I think the loss of Mike McGlinchey really hurt them when McGlinchey sucked to begin with. So I guess that was a really big loss. And then here he's back on the shit list, Kyle Shanahan. I really don't know how you prepare your teams for games these days. I really don't. But whatever you're doing, it's not working, man. It is not working at all. Because they're looking unprepared, unproductive. Your coordinators, especially like DeMeco Ryans, I don't mean to shit on him, but it's like they don't look prepared. They don't look ready to play. The offense, looks all right. But it's like Shanahan's still calling the same plays over and over. And then it took him a 17-0 lead or a quick 14-0 lead to finally realize, I gotta run away from the runs in the middle or the check down Charlies that he always likes to do with garbage fail and Elijah Mitchell. So all in all, this was just bad. This was just really, really bad. The defense was really bad. They also imploded emotionally because they couldn't keep their emotions in check. And if this isn't a big indication that Kyle Shanahan is on the hot seat, then you're out of your mind. And this is even with that big contract extension that they got a couple years ago. So my takeaways from this game. After this Rams game that we're going to be talking about in just a bit, it's time to start Trey Lance. It really is time to start Trey Lance, and it's also time to start these rookies, man. Where is Aaron Banks? Where is Ambry Thomas? Where is DeMontre Lenore, whatever his name is? Time to start Trey Sermon. Time to feature Telefunga Funga even more in this team. It's I want the whole world to see how terrible the 49ers defense really is on a primetime national television audience, as if the the one from a couple weeks ago against the Colts, and especially the one against the Packers on Sunday Night Football wasn't enough. Oh, you're going to really see it on Monday night against the Rams. And then once all that's said and done, and I know I'm being like pretty overreactive, but this Rams team that now just has Odell Beckham, and whether or not they have him ready to go, whether he's intensively studied that playbook, ready to go on Monday night, like Odell Beckham or not, this Ram team is gonna kick their ass. They're really gonna kick their ass so bad that we could be seeing another Monday Night Massacre. So once that's all said and done, it's time to put Jimmy G aside. It's not worth playing him anymore. I mean, unless you want to increase his trade value for whatever reason. Might as well just release his ass already. Time to release Josh Norman. Time to release Drake Kirkpatrick, because they've been shit all year. And let these rookies play. Like, we've only seen Trey Lance. We've only seen Elijah Mitchell play. With Mitchell playing most of the season. And like I said, the Niners have a favorable schedule the rest of the way. And, they may not win some of these games. I mean, on paper, when we talked about the season, in our season preview, they had a chance to win some of these games, like, the Bengals, the Vikings, the Falcons. Those looked like winnable games early in the season, like before the season even started. And even the Jaguars, that game could easily be winnable still. But, look at it now, the way the Niners secondary, the defense is playing. If the offense still is rolling Jimmy G against the Jaguars, oh man, you sure? You Niner fans really think that they still can make a playoff run? They can still make a push for that wild card? Really? With this schedule? So, time to stop thinking playoffs. Really time to stop thinking playoffs. Let these guys like Trey Lance, Trey Sermon, Ambry Thomas, and let Aaron Banks play. I mean, isn't that why John Lynch drafted them? I mean, how can you tell if they're ready for the NFL when you don't let them play? When you don't let them develop on the field? I mean, look at Mac Jones. And like, he is, sure, he still has some things to work on, but he looks ready. Looks ready. Like, sure, again, he makes some mistakes, and I mean, I wish Bill Belichick would let him throw the ball more, but how can you know that these guys are ready to play? Or how can you know that they're good or not if you don't let them play? This is the time to let them play, especially when you're so well out of the NFC West race. You're probably likely well out of the wild card hunt, even if the NFC is pretty weak this year. But you clearly haven't shown that the Niners clearly haven't shown that they're going past the wild card round. So might as well develop these rookies. Might as well. And then I think it's time to put Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch on the hot seat. And let's face it, the Super Bowl season from 2019 is starting to look like an asterisk at this point. And I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. I know it sounds hot. But you can no longer excuse injuries. You can no longer excuse even bad quarterback play from Jimmy G. Because there's just so much talent on this roster that this should not be happening. This should really not be happening from Shanahan. And the fact that John Lynch and Shanahan decided to keep Jimmy Garbage Fail, his big contract this offseason, not let him go, and not use that money to build depth behind the secondary this past offseason, keeping what was his name, Jason Verrett, and not building on that. That looks like a really big red flag now. And let's also not forget the fact that they decided to keep Jimmy Garbage Fail over Tom Brady. Tom Brady, one of the best, if not the best of all time. He could have brought, like, as much as I prefer Joe Montana over Tom Brady. At least Tom Brady could have brought like his hometown, his home state, a Super Bowl already. He could have done it, but the Niners were like, nope, we're gonna stick with Shanahan wants to stick with Jimmy Garbage Fail. So I don't know. I think it's time to stop high stepping on Shannon Lynch. I think their seats are pretty hotter than we think. And last but not least, if I didn't say it already, it's time to stop thinking about the damn playoffs. Stop it. And time to put away the shiny toy that is Jimmy Garbage Fail. Stop thinking about his precious winning record when they're on the field. He sucks. Okay? Sure, he looked fine on Sunday, and he didn't turn the ball over. But long term, he has to go. He has to go. And as for the playoffs, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Not with Jimmy Garbage Fail, not with an atrocious secondary, and especially with not super conservative play calling from Kyle Shanahan. And like I know, anything can happen in the NFL, and who knows? Out of nowhere, maybe the 49ers will start playing well. Like I said, anything can happen. But from the way this is trending, I don't think so. So, all I can say is just play the rookies after the Rams game on Monday night. Just focus on that. Focus on, there's always next year. Like, the 49ers, like, is there anything really looking forward to next year besides Trey Lance's second year, hoping that he breaks out? And then, hoping that the Niners, get something in the second round of the draft next year because, well, Kyle and John decided to, throw the farm to the Miami Dolphins for, the next two drafts with the first round picks. So they better hope something that's, a gem in the second round. So I don't know. I just hope that, Shanahan for the next couple weeks doesn't micromanage Trey Lance, and hopefully, we'll see what happens. But if these losses continue to happen, well, Jed York, if he has the balls to do it, he might have to start considering finding a head coach that won't micromanage shit, doesn't have a big ass ego, unless you learned from that yet, and a GM that can get healthy and can provide a productive supporting cast around Trey Lance. So overall, this Cardinals loss was just really, really embarrassing. The worst loss, no doubt, of Kyle Shanahan's tenure with the 49ers. And there's just no excuses. No excuses can be made for him whatsoever. None. I don't want to hear it. I really don't. And you can try to in the comments, whether it's on YouTube or on social media. But I still stand by what I say. Okay. So with that being said, let's talk about the 49ers Week 10 game against another NFC West opponent and the LA Rams. Yeah. On a Monday night. This is going to be very, very long and painful and downright ugly for the red and gold. Are you ready for a Monday night? Are you ready? Dun, 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 dun. Like SmackDown. Are you ready for a massacre? Dun, 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 dun. Are you ready? Dun, 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 dun. Are you ready for the Rams to whoop on that candy red and gold ass? Thankfully, I have work during this Niners game on Monday. So I don't get home till at least the second half. So if the Niners are getting their ass whooped, I'm probably certain that I didn't miss much. But like I said, anything can happen in the NFL. We've seen crazier things in Week 9 already, and we've already certainly seen a crazy result with the Dolphins pretty much shutting down Lamar Jackson on Thursday night. So again, anything can happen, but I'm not getting my hopes up with this game. And that is because the LA Rams are coming into this game all pissed off as hell. Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this upcoming game between the LA Rams and the 49ers in Week 10. So the LA Rams are heading into this Monday night matchup, this big critical matchup for both teams. Let's start off with the LA Rams. The LA Rams, they're 7-2 heading into this NFC West matchup. They're coming off a kind of a big loss to the Tennessee Titans that saw Matthew Stafford get harassed all night long against a Tennessee defense that performed surprisingly well. They picked off Matthew Stafford twice, including a pick six, and the Rams defense didn't get to Ryan Tannehill that much, aside from a sack and an interception, and that was it. So other than that, they're like both sides were pretty quiet all night long. I mean, Cooper Kupp on the offensive side, he still had that one-to-one connection with Matthew Stafford, but other than that, it was pretty quiet. It was pretty quiet on all fronts, and the Rams were just held to 9 points from Matt Gay. That was all their production came from, against a suddenly god Titans defense on Sunday night. But despite that loss, they still have a very talented team. That can't be understated. I mean, sure, they lost to the Cardinals big in Week 4, but they haven't lost 2 consecutive, and that could change. But this group is very talented, and it's clear that they're going all in to host that Super Bowl in their home stadium in LA, that fancy SoFi. Matthew Stafford's a very good quarterback, and he's very much I guess he was kind of that missing piece that the Rams needed on offense that Jared Goff just wasn't providing. Again, like we saw on Sunday night, there just some emotional attachment in Matthew Stafford that he brought over from the Lions. So I guess that's something to expose for the 49ers, I guess. But this offense, nonetheless, has really helped Cooper Kupp. He's starting to he was already a good wide receiver, but he's become a really good wide receiver. He's really separated himself from the defense. He runs his routes really well, and he can catch the long bomb from Matt Stafford. So he's pretty damn good. And then the supporting cast of Darrell Henderson, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, and now fucking Odell Beckham Jr. He just signed over there after getting released from the Browns. My goodness. And then the offensive line, aside from Sunday night, has played pretty well. They protected Matt Stafford, fairly well. But that offense is very dangerous. It is so damn dangerous. The defense is also a strong suit for the Rams as well. The secondary, it can still use a little tightening up outside of Jalen Ramsey. But that front seven, it is tough as shit. They got a strong run defense, and then they can get to the quarterback pretty well. Aaron Donald's having another good year, and then they just added Von Miller of from the Denver Broncos. So they got a Super Bowl MVP to come, and they got via a trade. So clearly they're going all in. So all in all, both sides have been doing their roles pretty well, and has led to a balanced attack for the LA Rams. As for the 49ers, oh man, we've discussed this so much, but I'm just going to condense it down here. They have lost 4 of their last 5 games, including this past week's even more embarrassing shitter to the G League practice squad Arizona Cardinals at home. That didn't have Kyler Murray, that didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, that didn't have AJ Green, that didn't have Chase Edmonds on the very first snap for the Cardinals. Can this get even more embarrassing for a Niners team that has so much talent on the roster? So the 49ers and their fans, they can't use injuries. They can't use injuries. We only had a few major injuries this year. Raheem Mostert, Jason Verrett, those were the only 2. Javon Kinlaw, those are the only 3 major injuries this year. What? Where's the injury card now? The secondary sucks so bad, and that they've been committing like pass interference like on a regular basis, and they can't cover for shit. Jimmy Garbage fail. Aside from this week, I mean, he protected the ball fairly well. He generally throws the passes so damn high that the ankles of his receivers, they get hurt, and he can't move out of the pocket most of the time, and he's just generally a not so great quarterback. So all in all, this is a total team effort of all season mediocrity and disappointment that makes the Bears like kind of decent. This is because of all the things I mentioned. So we're kind of like becoming the West Coast style of Bears football. So they head into this key matchup with the Rams, clearly still trotting out a very bad secondary that consists of, two washed-ass players in Dre Kirkpatrick and Josh Norman. And, players that we've been having that are just not living up to expectations. And obviously, they'll have to rely on Jimmy Garbage fail in a game that they're probably going to have to throw pretty much nearly all game long because, the Rams are going to be pissed as shit, and they're going to be, like, taking advantage of that secondary by throwing it to Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and if he plays, Beckham. Yeah. So, keys to victory for the Rams. That offensive line needs to protect Matt Stafford from Nick Bosa. I mean, Bosa, at this point, is the only thing generating pass rush. So I think this offensive line should have no problem protecting Matthew Stafford. I mean, the O-line for the Rams has been pretty strong this season. And then, like I said before, the Rams have to attack through the air because the Niners run defense, even with a so-so run defense, they're still pretty exposable through the air. So Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, Matthew Stafford should have no problem spreading the ball around to just about everybody in this game. And then on the defensive side, you gotta blitz Jimmy Garbage fail. He is not moving around that pocket, and if he does, it's not that far. It is really not that far. And Von Miller is expected to play in this game, so the Rams are going to have a field day with this one. And if the 49ers want to have a chance at upsetting the Rams in whatever way and preventing a massacre on Monday night, and in an absolute prime time, they want to prevent an absolute prime time national televised embarrassment, not just from their home fans, live in person, but also around the world. Kyle Shanahan can't micromanage Jimmy G in that offense with middle run plays, check downs, none of that small time bullshit. That Rams defense is too strong and they're too smart for that. And they'll know that's going to be so predictable that they can shut that down real quick, and they can even pick off Jimmy G. Shanahan has to get aggressive. They got to let Jimmy G throw it deep downfield. They got to let him take more chances. They got to get more people involved other than just their big three and Hasty, not Hasty, which he should be getting more involved in anyway. Their big three in Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle, as well as Elijah Mitchell. So they have to get aggressive, and they got to try some things to throw off the Rams, because this is the season on the line game. This is the game that could make or break the Niners season. I pretty much said it a couple times that this is their game to continue their season, but this is pretty much the one. If they lose this one, it's over. It is over. They are done. They should not be thinking playoffs any longer. And I know they should not be thinking. They shouldn't have been thinking playoffs as soon as they lost to the Colts. But if they lose this game, they really shouldn't be thinking about playoffs. And I guess going forward, with this keys to victory, the offensive line has to protect Jimmy G at all costs, because that front four is gonna go hard. They're gonna be pressuring him. They're gonna be going to attack a pretty beat up line that I don't think even Trent Williams can like protect, because that right side of the line, the offensive line is pretty weak. And the secondary, like they gotta wake up. They have to find a way to, show up when it matters most. I mean, I think Jimmy Ward, their safety, their top safety, the front safety, is coming back to play this game, but I don't really think it'll make a difference. I really don't. I mean, is he really gonna do all that much to help out? Is he really? So their defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, they have to do something. They have to do whatever it takes. He has to make a game plan for his defense to do better, to do better in a must-win game. In a game that I personally don't think the Niners will win, but for whatever reason, some people will. But all in all, the Niners are probably not going to win in what will probably be a massacre by the Rams, a very pissed off Rams team on Monday night. And once they lose this game, like I mentioned time and time again, it's time to start the rookies in Jacksonville. It's time to start Trey Lance and all those guys in Jacksonville, and it's rookies all the way for the rest of the season. But that is my preview of the upcoming game against the LA Rams on Monday night. I really hate the NFL for putting this game in prime time, especially now, considering where the Niners stand. But let me know how you feel about this Monday night game against the Rams. And I know I'm pretty pessimistic as all hell going to this game, but we'll see what happens. And again, luckily I'm working in the first half of this game, so at least I don't get to see the massacre that's about to unfold. But let me know how you feel about this upcoming game, however you can. And let me know how you feel about this embarrassing Week 9 loss against the Arizona Cardinals. But that is it for this recap episode for the 49ers on Very Cold Lasagna. I am your host, DylanLasagna. Thank you for tuning in to this interesting and rant-filled episode for my 49ers. And hopefully next week won't be as rant-filled, but it probably will when we recap another 49ers game that will probably be ending in a blowout. But that is it for this episode. I am DylanLasagna signing out of this show. Make sure to listen and watch Very Cold Lasagna wherever you can and however you can, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, anywhere you can. And follow the show on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Very Cold Lasagna. And as always, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of pro wrestling and sports. Very cold in the fridge, tasty as a hot lasagna that's just very frozen and cold as ice. Anyway, until next time, peace out.